Section 2 is all about how we can connect chords to play changes rather than just playing one chord into the next. This is the idea of putting chords outside of the chords that are written into play. So for example, instead of just playing a B flat to an E flat, in the previous section we played a B flat to a B flat 7, then an E flat. By targeting that A flat to that G change, we could play a new kind of change that established that a B flat 7 chord was happening to get to the E flat. So we're going to run with that idea here, and we're going to talk about some of the tricks that he would use and some of the harmonies he would use to connect chords back into each other and resolving into different chords. So this first use that we're going to do is called a 4 sharp 4 diminished. So if we're playing the key of B flat and we get to the 4 chord, our E flat chord, we can play E flat and then E diminished back to B flat. And that is a harmony that gets us back to the B flat chord. So on your PDF we have this E flat chord, then let's make it an E flat 7. And then what you want to do here is put down the E note, so right above the E flat, there's our E diminished, the sharp 4 diminished, because there's the 4, here's the sharp 4, and then we're back to B flat, and we can have F in the bass if we want, because we get this little chromatic. So let's dig a little deeper into what exactly this diminished chord is. What makes it up? So in the bass we have an E, then we've got a B flat, a D flat, and a G. Now on your paper here I listed out the arpeggio for you. We've got E, goes up a minor third, to G, which goes up a minor third, to B flat, which goes up a minor third, to D flat. And then that can go back right into B flat. So the trick with this is you can use this arpeggio, and some guys use lines based around it, but really Jimmie would use the straight up arpeggio quite a bit to connect chords. But the key is with the arpeggio, you want to look at each note in the arpeggio and see where the closest note to B flat is after each one. So whether that's a half step away or a whole step away, that's going to sound the most natural when resolving. So I listed some examples of some licks, some ideas that I've heard him definitely use that use this idea of the sharp 4 diminished and kind of how he resolves it back in to the B flat. So I'll play through example 1 and then I'll break it down for you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Hope you heard the little diminished there in the middle. So we just have a stock kind of Charlie Christian blues line. Using our major pentatonics with that added minor third. And then we're just going to play straight down to the A flat, and then that resolves right into the G. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down to the G. Here we're going to play up the chord tones of E flat, so we'll play G, B flat, D flat, E flat. Kind of a jumping off point for Jimmie, as I mentioned in the previous section, with licks like. But instead of doing that, we're going to come back to the B flat now and play up the diminished arpeggio from the B flat. B flat, D flat, E, G, and back to F for our B flat chord. And then a little playing around with the triad. So let's listen to this E flat, E diminished, back to B flat, starting from the E flat. So we have That fits that really nicely, and then that fits that really nicely, and then back to B flat. So all together, example 1, 3, 4. So take that idea and just mess around with it. Use different examples that we've learned so far, things you've heard, to manipulate using just not the blues, but also some diminished into it. We're going to take some of the same ideas, but move it up to our next area of activity. Example 2 is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so playing some blues, and then approaching that major third by minor third, and then coming down the triad, but we're going to add the flat 7, and now you should already know, kind of get the timing feel that we're moving up F sharp, the chromatic, into G, which is the third of our E flat. So we've got right into that G. So now we're coming up from the G, we're just going to play up the arpeggio. Major 7 of E flat is D. Up to the F, we're kind of enclosing this E flat here. It's a Jimmieism that you can get into your own playing. And then right when we hit that E flat, we're going to make it a triplet, because we've already established we're playing an E flat. So we're going, so that's just our E diminished, E, D flat, B flat, G, and then going back down the triad and playing a little swing lick. So from the E flat, we've got and then, so we've got all over E flat, and then all over that E diminished, and then back to B flat. So let's try that all together. We've got 3, 4. Again, take this example, mess around with the time, choose a different enclosure, mess around with the triad, and make it your own. But that is another example of how you would use that diminished in that kind of area. All right, in example 3, another way in which you would use it in this area of activity, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we kind of start off, as a side note, with a little Junior Bernardism, a huge influence on Jimmie Rivers. He's the guitarist for Bob Wills and the Playboys. It's also just kind of a staple swing era lick. We're just going to work down from the 5th of B flat down to the 4th and approach that D, right, the major third with a minor third. And then coming down to the B flat, then the A flat, approach chromatically to the G. So B flat, here comes the B flat 7 to the G. And then we're working up our E flat chord here. So just going up the triad, down to our D flat, flat 7. And then I'm going to switch and bring this E flat up to the E. And this is cool because it's a nice big jump, so it catches you kind of off guard. So we're just doing the E flat to the E, G, B flat. So only 3 notes from our diminished there. And then So I'm just playing down the major pentatonics, and then I'm encircling or enclosing this D, the quick slide from 4 to 5, back up to the B flat. So we've got this E flat chord, and then we're down to the diminished, and then back up to the B flat. So we've got, for the B flat, so that's all over B flat 7, and then that's all over E flat to the diminished, and then back to B flat. So example 3 altogether is all right, now we're going to talk about another way of connecting chords, and this is based off of the B flat chord in this instance. So the B flat chord, when moving to the E flat, we've been using a B flat 7. Now another thing we can do is take the B flat 7 chord, and let's go up 5 notes in the B flat scale. So B flat, C, D, E flat, F. All right? Off of this F, or the 5th note, that's really important to remember, the 5th note of the chord you're on, make a minor 7 chord. So we're going to make this F minor 7. This chord is really important because it has a lot of the same notes as B flat with some extensions that make the B flat really stand out. But it's also the 2 chord in the key of E flat, the key we're going to, or the chord we're going to. So it would work to precede the B flat chord with an F minor 7, or an F minor. So now, imposing the 2 minor, we have this F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat. Now let's take a closer look at what exactly that is. In the F minor, we've got F, C, E flat, and A flat. If we build an arpeggio off of it, we've got F, A flat, C, E flat, F. Okay? So we've got, one more time, 2 minor. The B flat's the 5 of E flat. So 2, 5, 1. And that's where that sound comes from, when the jazz saying of 2 minor 5 to 1. If you're familiar with any jazz standards, or you can put this in Western swing and country, it all works together. So let's look at example 4 and see how we can start leading the F minor into the B flat, into the E flat. I'll play it and break it down for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we're working from this position here. We've got our F minor arpeggio, F, A flat, C, F, E flat, excuse me, F, A flat, C. Now what I'm doing here is preceding this F with the G, E, F. So I'm just enclosing it. Then going up the arpeggio, and then chromatically going C, C sharp or D flat, D, and then from here, I'm playing up to the F, A flat, C. So again, using the arpeggio with the added D from the triad. And then I'm doing an enclosure here. So B flat, A flat, F, approach the G, and then coming right back down to the E flat, F, E flat, and ending on a C. So let's break this down and how it sounds against each chord. So against this B flat, we've got now let's put the F minor into it. Sounds really nice. Now with this next bar, let's check it out. So against the B flat, then against the F minor, and then this last part against the E flat. I'm doing this to really show you how these chords connect together harmonically, but also how even if you have a B flat 7 chord but no F minor listed on a chart or in a song, you can definitely impose that sound. So one more time this whole thing, 3, 4. Okay, now let's go into example 5. We're going to take it from this F minor right here, the first one we worked out of when we were setting this all up, and it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we've got a chromatic run down to the C, so we're just going D, D flat, C, then coming down the arpeggio, so C, A flat, F, and then we're chromatically running down to this D, F, E, E flat, below it, so we're enclosing it, right? Then sliding up to the D, up to the F, A flat, then down. Really setting up that B flat chord there. And then when we get to the E flat, we're coming up to the F and playing down this arpeggio. F, D flat, B flat, A flat, G. Then back up. So over the B flat chord, now to the F minor with that sound, and the next bar with the B flat, next bar with an F minor, and then next bar with the E flat. So another way of using that F minor arpeggio just out of a simple chord shape that we all know. So one more time, 3, 4. One more time, 3, 4.